Hi, I'm Callum from Tyne Valley Motorhomes, and this is the handover video on the Swift Champagne 622 model. So the first locker you get to on your driver's side of your vehicle is your cassette, and all your locks open with the main habitation key. Push both in to release the door. Make sure the blade's close on the toilet, which we'll talk about more once on board, and then you'll be able to lift the orange handle and slide the cassette free of the vehicle. You can then either carry it or you can wheel it to the disposal point, which is the Elson point on site, which is normally beside your toilet block on the main site. Then to empty, you would remove the cap, pop that to one side, start to pour the contents of the cassette out, and as you pour, press this orange button at the back. It allows a bit of air in and stops it glugging, gives it a consistent flow. Tip it all out. Once you've done so, there's normally a tap there, a bit of water in there, rinse, tip out again before going in with a cap full of chemical. The cap is 120 ml. This can be green or this can be blue chemical, depending on what the site prefer you to use. The green is slightly more environmentally friendly. Pop it into here. Once it's in, straight back into the van, and you can use the cassette. Next, we have your external shower point. So it comes with the vehicle. There's a connection, connects on there, truma connector. And on the other end, you have a trigger gun. Making sure the main water pump's turned on inside the vehicle, you'll get a pressurized flow of water to the external shower to hose the dog off, the bikes, the boots, before storing them away. But make sure the pump's on to get a pressurized flow of water, otherwise you'll get nothing out of the external shower hose. Below we've got your wastewater drain, which is controlled by a valve inside the vehicle. Make sure that this is fully drained off before you leave your site, so that you're not carrying around added weight for no reason, and fully drained off in the winter to avoid the water from freezing. But I'll show you the valve inside the van. So now inside the gas locker, which takes two 6 kilogram propane bottles. This is our test bottle, which will be taken off. We've only got it on to show you gas appliances working. So when you put the bottle on, you want to put the bottle on first, then there's a strap. This goes around the top collar of the bottle and it ties down. So that goes on first before you put the pigtail on. And then what you want to do is you want to connect the pigtail, which is left to tighten, right to loosen, opposite ways with it being gas. Turn the cylinder on at the top and then push this button in, and the first time you push the button in, you should hear the gas whoosh through here. That's a second motion valve. You need to press that in to release the gas into the pigtail, and then you should be able to light a gas appliance on board. If you're still not getting gas, there's a crash valve, which is this green dot. You need to press and hold that in for a 10-second reset to allow the gas to come in through the regulator and into the vehicle. But make sure your gas bottles are tightly secured with the straps and turned off before you start driving by turning the top of the cylinder to the off position. Once, if you're carrying two, which is the best thing to do, disconnect one, you've got your reserve, change your empty for a full, because most sites are colour dealer, so you want a colour 6 kilogram bottle, which is your ready orange colour bottles. Get two of them, as the vehicle is set up for propane, not butane. To hook the vehicle up, whether you're charging it at home or you've just arrived at your site, it's the same way. Get your hooker blade, lift the collar and expose the connection. Lift the flap on the van, connect the vehicle first, then the site or home if you're home charging it prior to your trip, and do it in reverse order when unhooking, so that you're never walking around with a live cable in your hand. And just underneath where you hook the vehicle up, you've got your freshwater drain off point. So again, this is controlled by a valve inside the vehicle on a solenoid, a 12 volt valve, and you would drain off your fresh water if you've taken on a source of contaminated water, you're not using the vehicle for a while, or you drain it down for the winter to stop the water from freezing. You would allow the water out and leave this valve open once you have opened it to allow the water out, to stop any little drips and drabs in the tank from freezing. Situated at the back on the driver's side is your flue for your boiler. So this is your truma boiler. This gives location of where the boiler is on board the vehicle, and it's in this corner here. So make sure this is always obstruction free. On gas you might get a bit of fumes out of there, and on electric you might feel a bit of heat, but make sure it's always obstruction free so that nothing can block it and cause any damage to the flue for your heating system. On the back of the vehicle you've got your parking sensors at the bottom, your high level reversing camera, and two rails either side of the window on this model where it's been strengthened to take a bike rack. Should you wish to put one on, it would be a Thule bike carrier you would need. Using the habitation key, you can lock and unlock the freshwater filling cap. Remove it, carry yourself a hose pipe with some hose pipe fittings, as it's mainly just a brass tap provided by the site. Connect the hose, put the flat end of the hose into the van and fill it until it overflows, or until you look on board on the control panel and it'll tell you how much fresh water you have on board at any one time. Once you fill this up, place the cap back in and lock so nobody can tamper with your water. Should you not be able to get a hose to the vehicle, there's a pump with the vehicle, 12 volt. Pop that in there, pop one end into here and pop one end into the bucket of water, and it'll suck the water out of the container into the freshwater tank. In this locker you've got storage space. Just shows you where your carpets are at the moment, but you've got some storage for your bits and pieces that you want to pack away with, and that locks with the habitation key. And then next to it you do have a mains 230 external socket, so if you want power in your awning you can plug into there and you've got power as long as the vehicle is hooked up. Next we have your external gas point, which is great for a Kadak or external barbecue, which uses the main bottle on board instead of carrying a separate one for your barbecue. And you have this little hose fitting which is called a brass quick release connection. That connects into there. Your hose goes onto here, and you will need a Jubilee clip and some gas hose to go onto here, which is your rubber hose. A Jubilee clip to nip it onto the top. Push the collar back to release, push it in before turning the gas tap on there, and you'll get a flow of gas out of here to use your Kadak or external barbecue if you plan on doing any outdoor cooking. You've got your two fridge vents beside your habitation door, your awning light and your Thule Omnister awning, which we can show you on collection because it's a bit tight in here in the handover area. Next to the passenger door you do have your diesel filler, so you don't need to open the door, just open the flap back. Use the main ignition key, your Fiat Ducato key, to open the diesel filler. Fill with fuel. It's a 70 litre tank on the Fiat. And then tyre pressures can be found here, 5.5 bar, which is 79.5 psi on the slam panel of the passenger door. Underneath the passenger seat is your toolkit, which includes a jack, a brace, a tow and eye. Underneath this flap in the floor is your engine battery, so if you ever need to change that or put a charger on, this needs to come up. And underneath your driver's seat is the location of your leisure battery. But to get the bonnet up, open the passenger door, lever here to release the bonnet, catch in the centre, and under here you do have all your various fluids. So the main one you're going to need is screen wash, followed by your power steering fluid, coolant and your clutch and brake fluid, your oil filler and your dipstick for checking the levels. Paint codes on this sticker here. This is an earth for giving or receiving a jump start, but this is where your black clip goes. And then this cover needs to be lifted up with a key, and this is your positive for giving or receiving a jump start. So now on board the vehicle, this is your 12 volt control panel. So to turn it on, you press your master switch here, which gives you 12 volt. If you're hooked up, you'll get this icon here, which means you're receiving mains 230 volt. And the active battery is the leisure battery. So you always want it to be battery L, which is the auxiliary battery, which is used to power the motorhome side of it. 13.6 volts is a charging rate on your leisure battery. If you want to turn your tank heaters on, you just press this button here, and this will stop the tanks from freezing when you're away in the colder months in the winter, and you'll get this little icon here, which means it's heating your waste and your freshwater tanks when we're experiencing colder temperatures. Your select battery always wants to be the leisure. If that's vehicle, you can go in here and change it, but it always wants to be the leisure battery to stop it from killing the engine battery if you're wild camping, because that's the battery just to start the engine, not the leisure. Solar charge goes to sleep. The solar panel which brings in the charge goes to sleep when the vehicle is hooked up, but that's currently what it's bringing in. But we are hooked up, so it is gone into sleep mode as it can't compete with mains 230 volt. And then you've got your vehicle battery reading there as well. Unhook the vehicle to get a true reflection of the battery, as this is a charging rate. Fresh water will go up this side, so you've probably got about 20 litres of fresh water on board and 20 litres of waste, so they'll go right the way up the sides of the control panel to tell you how much water is in the fresh and waste water tanks. When you're using the water though, you do need to have the pump on, which gives you a pressurised flow of water to the taps, toilet and shower. Without this you won't get a pressurised flow, but make sure you do have sufficient water on board beforehand, otherwise you will damage the pump. And then you've got your various light switches here. To drain your fresh and wastewater tanks, as they are 12 volt solenoids to control the valves, make sure the main 12 volt control panel's on, and then you just press down to drain them down. Make sure you drain your waste over the waste disposal point on site, and make sure you drain your fresh out in the winter to stop the water from freezing. Make sure both's left open, and then turn the main 12 volt control panel off in the winter to avoid any water from freezing in the fresh and wastewater tanks when we're experiencing cold temperatures. But never drive around with a full tank of wastewater where you don't need to, because you're just adding weight onto the vehicle for no apparent reason. Dump that at your site to avoid carrying that weight round, which is just going to use more fuel and eat up weight in your payload. To operate your heating and hot water system, which is through Truma, so this is your Truma digital control panel, using the toggle in the centre of the screen here, you would press enter, and you'll notice flashing you've got a van with a thermometer in. This is the room temperature of the vehicle. So if you press enter again, you can have it all the way to off. Selecting your temperature, it goes to the highest point of 30 degrees. And then once you're happy, you need to confirm this by pressing the toggle in. So that has set your room temperature. Next, we've got your hot water. So you've got a thermometer in some water, making sure that you do have water in the boiler first. If you don't, then you need to have this set to off. And then should you have water in, you can either use the eco setting, which is 40 degrees of heating the 10 litres in the boiler, 60 degrees of heating the 10 litres of water in the boiler, or boost, which is a half an hour function and turns the heating off and puts all the heat to the water. So prioritises the hot water. But for this, we'll just say hot, and again you would press enter. Now you've got which energy source you're on. So you've got a gas bottle and some electricity symbols there. So depending on what energy source you have available to you will determine what you use. So first it'll show you gas, which you'd use if you're wild camping and weren't hooked up. You'd have to use your gas to heat your water and your vehicle. You've then got mixture 1, which is 750 watts of electric and gas. Mix 2, which is 1850 watts of mains electric power and gas. You'd use this in the winter to get the vehicle up to temperature for the first 20 minutes or so. And then you want to knock it off because you don't want to waste your gas if you've paid for electric. And then you've got EL1, which is 750 watts of electric. You may have to use this on smaller CL sites or abroad, as they're not as generous with their power. And then going back in, you've got EL2, which is 1850 watts of electric. So we're hooked up now. That's a 16 amp feed. We'll just press EL2 and that will heat the vehicle and the hot water. In the top right hand corner, you do have the fan speed. So you've got eco or high or boost. Eco is a little bit quieter. It is just a 12 volt fan. So if you're away and you're wild camping, you want to use eco because it doesn't use as much 12 volt. You've got high, which will obviously use all of the fan speed to circulate the heat around the various parts of the vehicle. And then you've got boost, which again is the highest setting it will go to, and it will blow the heat around the ducts in the various parts of the van. But for this we'll just say eco because high can sometimes be a little bit noisy. If you're going to sleep, I would recommend putting it onto eco because it's a little bit more quieter and it's a bit more livable. Everything above the line here flashing means that it's selecting it's on. So it's showing that your gas flame means that your room temperature is selected, your heating's on, your hot water's on, you're on 2 kilowatts of electric, EL2, 1850 watts, because you've got two electricity symbols lit up, and your fan's on eco as you have one fin on the fan speed lit up as well. At the bottom, you've got a timer so you can time it to come on and off just the once though. You've got the clock, so you can set the time to what it is on the display panel. So if you are timing it, it's in the right time. And then should you ever get a warning triangle, the best way to reset this is by going into the settings, going to reset, pressing enter, preset, press enter again, and it goes to a stage of initializing. That will completely turn off the control panel. Now nothing is on. You will have to go in again and reset your temperature, your hot water, your energy source and your fan speed again. So in the kitchen you've got 3 gas burner hobs. Make sure the glass lid is up, as there could be a sensor on here that stops the gas flow, and make sure that once you have had the burners on, you've allowed them to cool before putting the glass lid back down. Otherwise it can cause the glass to smash with the heat. So do make sure that this is cool enough once they've all been off before you put the lid down. Underneath you've got your oven and grill. So you grill one side and your oven the other side. If you need any parts for the oven and grill, there's a sticker here with the model number on for this Thetford oven, grill and hob combination. Underneath you've got some storage drawers, make sure they're pushed in before you drive off. Access for some pipes down there. Storage drawer, drainer and your sink cover, which is situated here. And then you've also got 3 gas isolation valves there, so a red, a blue and a green. Just tell you there which does which. So the red does the water heater, the green does the hob, oven and grill, and the blue does the fridge. Any problems with gas, make sure you turn your main bottle off first as you're isolating the source. These are mainly for when the vehicle is annually habitation serviced. A technician will read each gas appliance to make sure all appliances are reading to the correct gas standard set. To operate your Dometic fridge, you turn on and off here. And this is a 3-way fridge. So to change the source, you've got the little arrows here at the top. You've got mains 230 volt, which works off hookup. Gas, which works off the gas bottle. Should you not be hooked up, you'd use gas. If you were wild camping or you were just on a temporary site that doesn't have any hookup facilities, you would use gas. And then battery is off the engine battery, not off the leisure battery. The leisure battery does not power a fridge. It only runs off the engine battery when the engine is physically running. Off the alternator, it sends a feedback to the fridge, which circulates a 12-volt fan, so it's got to be pre-chilled beforehand. So if you're lucky enough to keep this at home, hook it up a couple of days before you trip away. Not only does this give enough time to charge the leisure battery, but you can put your fridge on the night before you put your shopping in, allow that to chill overnight, and then when you're ready to drive off, you just change the source. So you just put on your battery, which is there. It's failing there because the engine isn't running at the moment. If you get back to your site, you will go back to mains, or if you go wild camping, you switch over to gas. Temperatures here, so 5 when pre-chilling, turn it down to 3 or 4 once you have your shopping in. Sometimes 5's enough to form ice within the fridge. And then one thing you do want to do is, once you're not using it, turn it off. And then on the courtesy light, if you push this in, slide this forward, these 2 pins, clean the fridge out, pull them pins out, shut the door. It allows air to circulate in and out of the fridge without the seal shutting on the frame and trapping the air and causing smells and bacteria to grow within the fridge. So always leave your doors open on your fridge when you're not using it to stop smells from forming. This just shows that your water pump is working as you're getting a pressurized flow of water, and your water there is red hot. Your microwave is an 800 watt mains appliance, so you have to be hooked up for this to work. And you'll find the socket for the microwave just in the top of the kitchen cabinet, the overhead locker, along with your 150 watt solar panel charge regulator, which is flashing away there, charging the battery. But like I say, if it's hooked up, it goes to sleep. It only works when the vehicle is not hooked up and you're on a sunny day. Plate rack and cup rack can be found in here as well. If you do want to take them out, that's totally fine. They're just screwed in with the screws, so you can remove that and put your own racking system in. 230 volt sockets. All sockets like this will only work when the vehicle is hooked up. So if you're not hooked up, don't expect to plug something in and for it to work. You'll only have 12 volt, whereas when hooked up, you'll be able to use a mains appliance. Underneath, you'll find your lights. So directly underneath your back lounge seats, behind your wardrobe on this model, you do have your power supply unit. So this is a Sargent EC600 power supply unit. So you've got a black system shutdown button here, which is a battery isolator for the leisure battery. So if you're storing it, you might want to pop that out. That will kill all 12 volt in the back of the vehicle, stop all control panels working because there's no 12 volt from the leisure battery getting to the consumer box to then distribute it around the van. You've got all your 12 volt fuses, which are listed there, what they do. So do carry some spare fuses with you, because if something's not working on 12 volt and you've got 12 volt power, it's always going to be a fuse. So carry some and be prepared in case something does blow a fuse. This side, you've got your trips. So if you're receiving power, the vehicle will trip. If you're not receiving power, the vehicle won't trip. And that's a great way of knowing if it's the vehicle or the site. You've got your MCBs there, so your consumer units. So on your consumer unit, MCBs do your various different appliances. So they do your sockets, this one does your heating, and this one does your fridge, which are all listed here. These 2 lights light up for your charger. When hooked up, charges your leisure battery. Heating and hot water, 230 volt fuse from hookup to heat the vehicle and heat the water. They do pop out, but leave them pushed in. Make sure you don't pop them out. You'd only pop them out if you wanted to, but if you've got any problem with that, just make sure these are lit up when on mains hookup. So in the back corner is the location of your truma boiler. Your truma boiler does 2 jobs. It provides the vehicle with air-blown hot air on either gas or electric, and also provides 10 litres of hot water to the taps in the cylinder from gas or electric. It's very important that you drain the 10 litres of water out of the boiler in the winter when not using the vehicle, because you don't want this water to freeze in the container here because it will cause damage to the boiler, which isn't covered by the warranty supplied with the vehicle, and it would be a costly mistake to make to replace the boiler, as these are quite expensive. So what you need to do is you need to drain it down. So coming down beside the boiler, you've got this little yellow tap, which is currently lying down. You need to stand that up on end, and the 10 litres of water will drain directly out underneath the van. Leave it stood up on end when you're not using the vehicle. When you come to reuse it, put it back down into this position here, which is closed, standing up is open, and then you'll be able to fill the van with water, because you would drain off all the water source. So the waste would be empty, the fresh would be empty, all the taps would be open. You'd remove your shower head from your shower hose and lie that in your shower tray. And when you're ready to reuse it, fill the vehicle with fresh water, shut the taps, build the shower head back up, close this, put the pump on. So close that, put the pump on. Once you've turned the pump on, you'll get a pressurised flow of water from the cold side straight away. Once you start to then mix it with hot, what it's doing is it's transferring the cold water into here. So you're going to get a lot of air, a lot of coughing and spluttering out the taps, because it's filling the canister inside the boiler with water. Once you get a pressurised flow of water out of here, out of the taps, the boiler's full. Do one tap, do them all, and then you are ready to use the van as the system is primed. But drain it down, otherwise you're in for a costly repair bill on your boiler if you leave water in and it cracks inside the boiler. So in the back lounge on this model, to make the bed, unloosen the buckle, pull the lats out. You get so far and stop at the stoppers, you then lift them up, lock it in the other side of the stopper, and then it can't go back, so the bed's always secure. And then you use the back rests into the middle. You can put them into the middle, you can put them into the back. It's entirely up to you to fill the space, and there you have one double bed. But if you remove the back rests, you've got more of a king size bed, because you get that extra bit width on the bed. But that's how your bed assembles on the back of the Swift 622 Escape/Champagne model. Your wardrobe has your telly booster on the back wall, so you are able to boost the signal with the min and max there. So should it be pixelating on maximum, try turn it down. Should it be pixelating on minimum, try turning it up. If you're still having a problem getting a signal, you can adjust the aerial. So loosen the nut off here, push it up, tighten, and then you can adjust with a toggle the aerial on the roof to pick up the best signal where you're located. But the best tip I can give you is look where the other motorhomes and caravans are pointing. Point yours in a similar direction, and you shouldn't have to retune your telly very much. But before you drive off, pull the aerial in and tighten to stop the wind from causing any damage to the TV aerial. Now inside your washroom, to operate your toilet, you've got a blue button on the top there, which is your freshwater flush button. So it comes off the main freshwater tank, so there's no header tank on this for your pink liquid. You press the blue button, you get a flush of water. If you did have any pink liquid, you could spray it in there and put it in a spray bottle, dilute it with water, spray the bowl, flush. But always flush first, which helps lubricate the seal, and then open the blade. Opening the blade allows everything to go into the cassette. You would then use the toilet. Once you've used the toilet, give it a flush. Close the blade back to the left, which when the cassette indicates it's full, which it will with a red light under here, you'll be able to pull the cassette straight out the side of the vehicle. If that was to be left open, the cassette won't come out the outside of the van. So make sure it's closed to gain the cassette out when you're ready to empty, rinse and replenish with chemical. For the toiletry cabinet, your shower curtain to block the toilet off when you're using the shower. Disconnect your shower head when winterizing because you wouldn't want any water to sit in there and potentially freeze. Again, pressurized flow of water, that's red hot there. Toiletry cabinet underneath. But one little top tip, be careful with what you clean all the plastic out. Shower tray, walls, toilet, sink, anything like that in here with no bleach will discolour the plastic and strip the finish. Microfiber cloth, dishcloth, soapy water is good enough to clean out your shower and toilet area. No bleach because you will damage the finish. But that is your washroom